Okay, perfect. We'll go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everybody today to our webinar, Mobilize Your Inventory for Retail Pro. I have Dij Macer Fry here with us today from Foundry Logic, who's been a long-time business partner working with us with our Retail Pro clients. So we're excited to have you with us, Dij. With that, I'd like to go ahead and pass it off to you.
Great, thank you. And thanks for everybody to for attending and for participating and Big Hairy Dog for hosting this. I really appreciate it. Um, let's see, I've got a small presentation, just some slides that I'll just kind of go through quickly, and but we'll mostly focus on the demo and answering your questions. As we go through and you have questions, please just go ahead and raise your hand or type a question into the chat. Paula will stop us at breakpoints and we'll get to those. And then hopefully we'll be able to get to everybody's questions. And we'll just go ahead and get started then with a quick intro. So my name is Dave Masterfry. I go by Dij. It's short for Digital Dave. I'm the managing partner at Foundry Logic and developer of Retail Mobile Inventory, the app we're going to demo today. Foundry Logic has been around for quite a while, working with Big Hairy Dog and Retail Pro, so we've got quite a lot of experience with all kinds of uh, tools and technologies working around the Retail Pro space. Um, let's see. So we're gonna go through a demo today. Um, we're gonna do some counting with the Retail Mobile Inventory app. It's a mobile app. I'll show you to you on the screen. You'll be able to see that in a moment. You'll also be able to import counts that you make on the devices into Prism or V9 or V8 if you're using V8. I didn't put V8 explicitly in here, but V9 and V8 mostly work the same. So if you're using V8, you should be able to follow along, but if you have questions, just let me know. You can also use the app to check prices and store quantities. There's online and offline modes. There's quite a few other features that we'll get to towards the end that I may not be able to get into in as depth, but I do want to cover those. But I also want to make sure we cover things like your device and license options and network, hardware, software requirements, things like that, and give you time to ask questions. So without too much further ado, let me go ahead and bring up. We'll start with Retail Pro 9 and just get right into your favorite inventory. Let's see, bringing up my devices here. There we go. Okay. So I've got two devices. One is hooked up to Prism, the other is hooked up to version 9. So I'll be going back and forth between these, and hopefully it's clear which one is which as we're going, but I think it will be. Um, so this is the app. This is actually running on a one is a Honeywell device, the other is a Zebra TC25 device, and so the app runs on Android and iOS devices. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but a wide variety of devices. I'm doing effectively what's called a virtual desktop or remote desktop connection to the devices. So you're actually seeing the devices. These aren't emulators. These are actually showing you what's happening on the devices. You may hear some beeping in the background as I'm scanning. And these devices have scanners built into them. I highly recommend that. We'll go through some other options for scanning as well a bit later. But just to get started, when you bring up the app, you'll have a list of counts that you can count into. And you can start a new count by just clicking on this pencil icon and selecting what kind of account you're going to do. So the most typical things are physical inventory, receiving, transfers, things like that. You can use these sessions, as I call them, so these lists of items that you've counted and with different document types. This is just more informational than anything else. But this kind of gives you a way to name them and organize them. You can rename the files as you want as well. When you start a count, you can start, going in here and entering item numbers, UPCs or ALUs. Most likely you will be scanning. And so I'm going to scan some items here. And so you might be able to hear a little beep as I go. This model has a laser and imager scanner, so you can go at any angle, oblique angles, all kinds of things, and they scan just about as quickly as you can push the button. As you can see, I've entered a bunch of items. These are kind of Retail Pro's standard demo list here of items. And I've got a paper sheet here with all the barcodes already on it, so I can scan these very quickly. But as you can see, things are organized on the screen with their counts. This is the number of times I've scanned them. There's a number of features here also to group and ungroup them. So if I want to see the order they were scanned in, I can do that and scroll through those. You can group them by the item numbers, so you can see the total counts by item. There's a number up here which represents the total number of items that have been scanned. And you can click on an item and you can get details about it. And you can change the count here. So if that count was wrong, I can come in and change that. There we go. Like maybe I had 10 of those items. Um, when you have finished your count, you click the back button here and come back to the home screen of the application. And from here, you can upload, download items and upload item counts to your servers. So let me go ahead and upload this one. You just click the check button here, and this will just prompt you to say, "Hey, do you want to upload all your unsent documents?" You might have many, or you don't want to upload. You're not ready yet, so just confirmation dialog. So I'm going to say yes, and that little check mark means it's been uploaded to my software called Retail Mobile Services running on your Retail Pro server or Prism server, and that acts as sort of a clearinghouse or for all your devices. So all your devices will send documents to one place, and then from your Retail Pro clients or your Prism clients, you can access those documents from anywhere. Um, so on here, we can tell like where things are coming from or going to um, by the settings and where we're connecting to. So this is the host server, and this is the port that we're sending them to. So this one's actually the Prism server. So let me come over here, and we're going to create another count over here because I'm going to start with version 9. So you can also enter things in manually um, and do a search. You can search for inventory. So if you want to search by like a shirt or something like that, you could do another search and navigate through. And if this is the item that you want, now I can add that to my count. And again, come back, and now we can upload that. So if this is a physical inventory, we can now come over to Retail Pro, and this is the your typical Retail Pro screen for physical inventory. It's a little bit different in version 8, but the principle is the same. You're going to go to Add Counts. You'll select the Portable Device button, and this will pop up a dialog from my application that lets you choose one of the items, one of the scans that we created. So this is the one I just created, PI2. So let me go ahead and select that. This one had a problem. Let's see, grab just a minute. There we go. And we can close that and bring those items in and see those items listed here with the counts. All right, so this is bring those in just like you had scanned them directly into Retail Pro or manually entered them into Retail Pro. Um, that process again, we can add counts. Now here I'll show you another feature you can use if we want to grab a prior scan that we used before. I can restore. I can find that scan by date and reload it, and that makes it available again to import. And so we'll now get twice as many counts as we had before. So right there, let me stop and take any questions that people might have. I went through all that pretty quickly, and I can go through that again or any steps in there. But let me just stop real quick for any questions. And if there aren't any, then I'll just continue. And let me know if I'm talking too fast. Sometimes I get
Sorry, I tried to unmute all and it wouldn't let me unmute all, so I
Okay,
apologize. But please feel free to put your questions in the chat, and I can ask them for you. Um, yeah, sorry about that.
no worries. All right. Um, and yeah, Paul will be watching for any comments or questions that come up and can stop me. So this works with both zone PIs and store PIs. The behavior is the same. Once you've added your counts and you've imported them, any issues with the counts, for example, errors like if you had unknown items or sometimes it happens, like you might scan an item on the device and it might not be known in Retail Pro for some reason. Uh, that'll get reported here, and you'll just handle those as if you would um, through the normal Retail Pro error reporting mechanisms. But one thing that the software does do for you is when you create an account. So let me create a new one, and if I enter in a number that does not exist in my inventory, so this one does not exist, it's going to give me a warning and it's going to say, hey, this item is unknown. And it knows this because it has a copy of your inventory on the device and uses that to verify that items that you scan are actually known items. It's possible you might have an item that is meant for, you may have just received, for example, that hasn't been entered into your inventory, but will be eventually. So you can still accept this and bring it into the session. You can keep it and add a count for it, but we won't know any information about it. So if we try to click on it and go to it, we're not going to see any details because it's an unknown item. Right? But you can, keep it. If you try to import it into Retail Pro will then flag an error and say, hey, we don't know what this item is, and it'll give you an option to go to an error report and follow that up. So that's what happens when you have an unknown item. And if you scan something you don't want it to be part of your inventory, you can just say no. There is also an option that lets you control whether you want unknown items. You can have it ask or prompt for whether you want to. You can just say always accept them. So if you're frequently scanning items that may not be in your inventory yet, you can just always accept them, or you can say never. And never works pretty well for cases where you want to make sure that, like if you're doing a PI, there should not be anything that gets entered into inventory or interrupts your inventory because they're unknown. Everything you scan should be known. So the device will then warn you if that doesn't happen.
And does it make a different sound? You know how it's when you're scanning, it's making a sound. Does it make a different sound
It
if it
does.
scans one that's unknown?
It does. It gives you like an alert beep that you probably can't hear over the connection here, but it does. So speaking of inventory, so to get inventory onto your device, there's a couple mechanisms. One is this little down cloud button. If you tap that, you'll see, excuse me, you'll see briefly a dialog that shows it downloading something. And so what it's doing is it's going out to the server and checking to see if there's new items or information. If there is, then it will download them. It's pretty fast. I have a pretty small database that I use for demoing. This But even if you have a few megabytes of data to download, it's pretty quick. Um, this also happens on a timer. About every 15 minutes or so, it'll go out and try to see if there's new data to download to your device. If you're offline for some reason, like you can't, maybe you're in a corner of your store, maybe you're out of your store. Um, there's a variety of reasons why you might not have a good internet connection. The device will operate because it's using a downloaded copy of your inventory, so it still knows your device, your inventory, but it can't necessarily do some of the features that we're going to talk about in a minute. But I just want to emphasize that, as far as counting goes, you can operate completely offline and then bring it back to an area of your store where you do have a Wi-Fi connection, or even a USB connection. We can talk about that a little bit later as well, and then upload your counts that way. So um, let me know if there's any questions about that. I'm going to bring up my other device now, and we're going to switch over um, to Prism now and show you, kind of how you do the same things with Prism. So this is my Prism device. Um, Same thing. You can click on this button to download your inventory. We'll create a new PI, and I'm going to scan some items here. So now I'm using a different device. Oops, sorry, wrong device. There we go. So I've got some items. One of the things you'll notice is that as I scan, you see that I scan the item and it's got the inventory count here as a 1. Um, there's a lot of little subtle ergonomic features built into the software. So if I just hit enter here, it'll add that item to the previous list. It because I'd already scanned it, so it just added another 1 to it. You see this ghost image of 1029 that matches this one. If I hit the enter key on my keyboard, it basically re-enters that same item and lets me enter a count. And now I can hit enter and you see I've got 8. Or I can just hit enter repeatedly and you can see the count coming up. I'm not scanning. I'm just simply hitting the enter key on a attached keyboard or using the little search key that's on the device. Um, so there's little things that help make the app move a little bit more quickly. You don't have to hit enter after scanning something. So if I scan something, um, I can go back. You see my count is 18, a total of 22, and I've entered that one. If I go back, it goes to 23. So there's 23 items. So because I'd scanned that one, I didn't have to hit the enter key or any extra buttons or anything like that to force it to accept it. So as soon as you scan something, then it becomes part of the count. But you still have the opportunity to quickly adjust the count if you want, or just scan something else and move on. And if you scan something else, it just assumes the count is whatever you left it at. So those things move very quickly. Um, so let's go ahead and upload this one to Prism. Now with Prism, Prism is a web app, not a desktop client app. So there's a retail retail mobile inventory plugin that works with Prism that gets installed, and that will extend the functionality of Prism to allow you to now import from my retail mobile service. So to do that, you simply go to a zone that you may have already set up,
Pitch,
and
I just wanted to interrupt. Somebody was asking where in Retail Pro they don't know how to navigate to the physical inventory zone tab.
yeah, let's
So
go ahead
start
and
the start menu there. Okay.
yeah, let's go ahead and go back out to the top. So normally when you log into Prism, this isn't very intuitive. I agree. So it's easy to get lost to get there. So let's go. This is what you would normally see when you log in. You go to Store Operations, Merchandise, Physical Inventory. Now this shows you your PI sheets where you can upload your counts to, or where you take your physical inventory counts. You have to select one. I've already created one, so we'll use that one, but you can also create and new sheets as needed. So I'm going to select the one I've already created. I'm doing this by zone. So this shows it basically for the whole store. Now I'm going to go to a zone. This is a zone sheet. So if you zones are recommended because they let you take do physical inventories like in zones of your stores that could correspond to a shelf or an aisle. It lets you kind of break up your physical inventory a little better. Um, it helps organize things a little better, and then you can actually do like cycle counting and other things aligned with your zones, uh, which can improve your just the physical inventory process. It's just a little, it's an extra level of organization in the PI. So if you're not using that, something that you might want to look into if you've got, especially if you've got a bigger store or aren't familiar with it. But now that I've got the scanning into a zone or a store works the same way. Um, in either case, you're going to go once you get to your sheet, you're going to come down here to this Retail Pro button, and you're going to see an Import Counts button. And this is the button that's added by the Retail Mobile Inventory plugin. And when you click on that, it's going to connect to my server. and then when I say my server, it's the server that's running at your store, and show you what counts have been uploaded and are available for you to download to your store. So you can see there's these counts here, 4, 6, and 7. Number 5 was probably something I had earlier and deleted. I can select that and import it, and then it gives me the option to delete it from the server. That could be useful if you don't want to see that again. If you're not sure, you can keep it there, and then if for some reason you clear your counts and want to start over again, you can leave. You can still access your sessions on the server. So it's up to you whether you delete now or later. I'll keep this one for now, and then I can upload another one, etc. And that's the process. So now I can close this and I can see which ones were added. I can go to the import screen or the imported screen. This shows me what was imported. If there were any bad scans, there's a report that would show you what scans were bad. And there's also an extra feature that I have on here. So I'm going to show you this because this is pretty useful. Um, So this is an item that I know I have, but if I have an item that I know is not in my inventory, let's just say I go ahead and add it anyway. And then I'm going to add a third item. Uh, okay, so this is an unknown item. So this should cause an error when I go to Retail Pro. I'm going to upload. I'm going to go and import. And so now I've got this PI8. We know this one has an error in it.
Can you import all of the zones at the same time?
No, there's not like a select all. That's an interesting feature though. I will I think that's on my backlog of enhancements to take a look at.
Got it. Thank you.
Now this one, you can see there's an error here. To make sure you can see errors on the screen, you have to make sure you enable pop-ups. So it'll hide it if you don't have them enabled. I should have it enabled, so it should. Nope, that's what it says when it's blocked. Um, so I need to allow that. So let's do that again. It says view errors, make sure they're done. Okay, so here's the error report. So this error report is coming from my application, and it shows you what items were successful, but what items were not. And then back in Retail Pro, we should have a bad scan. So the disadvantage of this bad scan report is it doesn't really show you where that item was in the history of scans that you made. So looking at this, I can see this is kind of like the old version 8 error report, if you're familiar with that. It shows you the items that were good, and the highlighted ones are the items that were bad. And so now you can go and look around your shelves for the items that were good to see if you can identify where that item that crept into your PI was. And then you could make a determination as to what to do with that. Was that an item that was just not entered in an inventory yet, or was that just some item that was casually left behind and needs to get just removed from the count?
And did you can go back and look at that after the fact, right? So like if maybe another team was doing the actual counts and now you're in reconciling, or you're reconciling it, or you're the person, back at the main workstation reconciling it, they can go back into those different files and look at those details, right?
Yeah, you can keep those. The sessions will stay on the devices until you remove them. So if somebody were, let's say, kind of dispatching over here and says, "Hey, there's a problem with this PI8 that somebody sent me," we can find that device and go back onto the device and actually look at this and say, "Oh yeah, that thing was bad. Let's get rid of that." I'm going to do a long press on the item and I can delete it.
And then they could also see the items before they scanned before and after too, as well to kind of, isolate
That's right.
where it should
So
be.
yeah, so as long as you haven't in the ungrouped mode where it shows you the history of everything you scanned as you scanned it, you'll see exactly where it is. You may have to do some scrolling to find it, but it'll be there.
Okay, and
Um,
then
mhm.
is there an error report in order of scan?
In order of scan. I'm not sure what that
So you could
means.
you could see all of your scans and then you could see like, oh, that one right there was an error, I think.
No, the error report is like this. It shows you what session generated the error report. If I scan another
Yeah,
document, I'll actually get another separate tab with another error report.
got it. But they could go back to the zone and find the error there and see the items that were before and after inline, right?
That's right. Like here they're seeing this is exactly the items that were on there before and after, and so that's the one that's the problem.
Yeah,
And
like maybe
then
they scanned an additional tag or something that was on the product and it was the
yeah,
wrong.
exactly.
Thank you.
All right. So let's see. So while we're here, um, and then from here, you're just doing Retail Pro stuff. There's nothing special or fancy. My software is out of the picture once you've imported the items, and you're just running with strictly Retail Pro or Prism functionality. So it's just there's just enough to get the data into Retail Pro, and then you're back to Retail Pro standard operating procedures. All right. So I can, for example, I can clear this, and that should clear all my counts, and and then basically, import again. So I fixed that one count. So now when I import, uh, maybe I didn't fix it yet. Um, I haven't fixed it yet. I haven't uploaded it again. So let me import that again.
You brought something up that's good as well. They can't accidentally import the same file twice, right?
They can. I happen that's why the delete feature is there, so you don't accidentally do it. But if you didn't delete it, it'll stay present and it is available to be imported again. So you do have to kind of keep track of which ones you've imported or not. Um,
Is there an identifier when you went back to the previous screen? Is there an identifier like on the device? I can see it says like PI4, PI6, PI7. Is there an identifier in Prism that shows that as well?
yeah, so when you go to import, you'll see the same names.
Yeah. So you would be able to see there if you did inadvertently import another one, correct? Or a
Um,
duplicate.
Well, like here I fixed PI8 and I
Mhm.
uploaded again. So if I upload but then I cleared it and now I'm importing again. So now I don't have any errors. But normally I could delete this and now it disappears. So you can delete it as soon as you're sure you've got it. So you can say, I know I've already done 7, 6, and 4, so I can go ahead and delete those now. Because I know they've been they're fine to get rid of. But if you can also look at the dates, that's the date of the upload. So you can keep track of like how far you've gone. You could track um, which names. You notice there's this number here, 4 or 5, etc. You can come into a session and you can rename it. If you click the name, you can give it any name you want. So
Okay,
um,
and if they do get something where it's a bad scan and you kind of pulled up the screen where it had some details in there, can you go ahead and add those items? Can you add the item basically into Retail Pro, like fill in the data there and add it into Retail Pro or
let's
Prism?
see. So that would be something that I believe there is like a way you can do. So this is an unknown item. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll go ahead and upload this again. So I'm going to refresh. So now we've got this new one. So it's saying there's an error. So we'll go ahead and look at that and confirm it. Okay, so there's definitely an error. Now in Retail Pro, if I close and go to the bad scan screen, it's going to
Right.
show me that item. Now here's where you can resolve it. So this is just standard Prism functionality where now you can try to resolve it, by selecting the item that it should have been. Maybe it was something uh, I'm just going to pick an item. Maybe this is the right item. So you can pick this one and say, okay, that's the one I want it to use. So that resolved that bad item. Um, but if it was an item that truly isn't there, uh, I believe the way you have to basically just clear all. I'm not sure if Prism has a way to just clear a single item. Um, can try again here. So if I import this again, I'm going to get that same item back. And you can see each time I do an import, I get a new error report.
Okay, got it. And then when you delete the files, is there somewhere go where you could look at the deleted files again?
Excuse me. I have a feature in development for Prism to do that, but I'll show you in version 9 there is a restore feature, and so I'm making that feature available in Prism 9. I don't have a date on that, but that's something that's in development. So here, for example, now we've got this bad scan. It looks like, okay, here it is. So if I select it and hit clear selection, so if this really was a bad item, there is no lookup item for it. I can just clear that selection and get rid of that. So
Got it. But it
that's
has to
just,
be done in either Retail Pro 9 or Prism. It can't be done on the device, correct?
well, in on the device, you could come in here and say, oh, this didn't come up with anything, and after review, maybe with a supervisor or something, you could then just delete it there, and now it's gone.
But you couldn't add it, say it was something that somebody removed out of the inventory for whatever reason, and you know all the details of it, so you could go ahead and add it in the device.
Oh, you mean like create a new item definition on the device? No,
Okay,
no, that has to be done in Retail Pro or Prism.
great, thanks.
Yeah, good question. Okay, so let me go back to version 9 and show you kind of some of the features there. So similar thing, you can also use the Retail Mobile Inventory Manager. So this app is what you use to interact between the Retail Mobile Service, which holds your inventory for the devices and interacts with the devices and interacts with Retail Pro and Prism. It's sort of like just the management piece of it, but it also lets you get access to the sessions. So if you just want to come in and just look at what sessions have been uploaded, you can see them in version 9. Um, this tool doesn't work the same way with Prism because with Prism it's a server that many clients share on with version 9 as a user. It's sort of showing me my interactions with the local workstation that I'm using. So it behaves a little bit differently. Um, but for example, if I want to go back and restore a session that I had deleted, on version 9, we have this feature where you can go back and look actually in your user history, and you can go by history by month and day, and then find all of the sessions that had been previously used, and you can call them back up by just double clicking on them. And so that makes it available again to re-import into Prism. I'm sorry, into version 9 or version 8. Um, The so this window, as you see, is the same one that appears if I come in and add counts and go to portable device. It's the same window,
Got it.
and then I can pick that thing out and upload it, and it disappears right away. But then if I want to get that back for some reason, I can go back and find that again and bring it back in. All right. While I'm here, I'll also show you there is an export function. You can export sessions as a CSV with details, with counts, um, and uh, there's an option that has to do with if you're using GTIN. It's a kind of custom format. This map is defined within Retail Pro. So if you create import maps in Retail Pro, this is a map that you can get access to and create in the Retail Pro system preferences. So you can get all those, or you can just output it as CSV or CSV with details. With details includes all the basic fields like description fields, count, order, sorry, not count, description fields, color, attribute, size, those kinds of fields. Not all of the ALUs and the extended fields. And CSV is just basically the count and the identifier used to scan. So if for some reason you just want to get a dump of that information, you can do that. So I could pick that. The zone, it just adds a zone tag as well if you want to import it into a zone later. It's kind of useful. So now I can pick a file to dump it to, and so I just dumped it into my downloads folder. I can go find that theoretically. There's downloads, there's the file. So it's just, your counts, things like that. And maybe you have another tool that you want to use that you want to manipulate this with before you import it. That's something you could do, or you're just interested in seeing it. So if you do the export with the details, let's get back there again. This message is if you take too long on this screen, it has like a 30-second. It's a configurable timeout, but it's a normal Retail Pro thing. It's trying to reach out to the device, and if you haven't responded to the dialogue in a certain amount of time, it complains. But that's normal. So yeah, if I want to select that and export it with details, um, now I can come back to this guy. It's been updated. They're supposed to show me the details. That did not. Not sure why we didn't get the details there. I was expecting the details on that. I'll have to look into that. But you'll be able to export them, and you can refresh. So if you've got more data that's been loaded to your server and you're not seeing it, you can hit the refresh button to take a look at it again. There's a special button previous. So if you've uploaded something and it's been removed because you used it already, but you want to use it again, you can go to the restore and get it back, or you can just tap on the previous button, which will just quickly retrieve it. So just does a couple of operations in one step. So some of these features, like the export, these things only work on V9 currently, but I'll be expanding that into the Prism side as well sometime in the future. All right. Um, So I went pretty quickly through a lot of stuff there. Paul's been stopping us for questions. Good. I just want to make sure I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet or my PowerPoint real quick, make sure we covered everything that I want to talk about. Okay, we haven't talked about checking price yet, so let's do that and the online and offline modes. Those are usually pretty important. Okay, so back in the app, we can click on the search button here. So this is how you can do like things like price and item search. So I can search for items. I can just use the keyboard to search for items. So I can see, okay, I've got shirt tie box set, shirt short sleeve performance. I can click on it. I can see things like what sizes, attributes, quantities, and then I can click on it again, and I can get to all the details here. All right. A couple things about this. This screen is configurable. It's customizable. It's not user customizable. There's a configuration file that I can put together for you if you need a custom ordering or certain fields, including your ALU fields and things like that, some of the extended fields. If you want to make those visible at this level, we can do that, but that's something that's done through a customization. It's not hard. Um, just need to get a spec for what fields you want to see and what ordering you want to see them in, and we can put it together. There isn't like a screen or something that you can do it for yourself, but it is possible to do. Um, let's see. You'll also
It
notice the
says,
Mhm.
somebody asked a question, is there a way to import into price adjustment memos? Right now, it says it isn't supported, but it is supported for cost and quantities memos.
Yeah, adjustment memos are kind of complicated because um, there's two kinds of adjustments you can make, and this is something I'm currently in development on. You can either make an adjustment that reflects your total quantity of that item or a change to that item. And the current Retail Pro interface is kind of stupid and it only accepts one or the other. I forget which, but I believe it's the total quantity. So when you create an adjustment, depending on what kind of adjustment you want, Retail Pro may do the wrong thing. And so um, I don't currently say I support it because it really needs to be there needs to be an additional feature that lets you indicate what do you intend to do. Do you want to change your total quantity or do you want to make an adjustment to your quantity? So say I have 10 items in my store of a certain product and two of them are damaged and so I want to create an adjustment memo for two items to take them out of inventory. Well, that would be a change to your total quantity, not a new total quantity. So if you enter that in as two and you were to upload it right now, Retail Pro would consider that as a total quantity of two, not a change of two. And so there needs to be some additional work there to make that happen. Um, so that's why I don't talk about adjustments because they're a little bit uh, they can get you in trouble if you don't understand the difference. And there's not a way to clarify it yet. So that's something that's in development.
Thank you.
I hope that answers that question. Um,
Let us know, Eddie. Thanks.
and if that's something you're interested in doing, I'd be happy to work with you on that because there's going to be some UI changes to make sure that um, the user at the time they make the adjustment can explain what it is we're trying to do. Is this a new total or a new change to the quantity? And it 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 makes the user interface, it adds another step to the user interface that the other documents don't have because other documents are always totals. They're not changes or potential changes. So what we did, just to recap, I just scanned this shirt, and as you can see, I have quantity 0 in here just because I don't maintain my quantities in my demo database. Um, but if I had any actual quantities, they would show up in there. Um, if I click on an item, you can see the quantity field has a caret that lets me drill into that, and this will let me actually drill in and see the other store locations and their store codes, their store numbers, and what quantities they have. So that could be useful if you're trying to find an item and see maybe what other store you have it in stock at. Now, this feature to get online store quantities like this requires you to be online. If you're because we don't download all your stores, inventories, and counts, and it would be really difficult to keep it in sync. So what happens is that when you do a download of your data, it takes a snapshot of your current inventory quantity at your local store, and when you do a lookup like this, it will do a real-time query to see what your store quantity is. But if it can't find it for some reason, you're either offline or you choose to be offline, it'll tell you that it's using a cached value and it may be out of date. But just know that your inventory quantities at other stores are only as accurate as your most recent Retail Pro synchronization. So if you're collecting inventory counts and data from your other stores at all your locations, then you have access to this. But it's not going out to all your locations and fetching this information. It's basically using what your local instance of Retail Pro knows, and so it's only as accurate as that is. I hope that's clear. Now, sometimes you want to work offline uh, because you may have it can work a little faster to search your online stuff. And if you have a spotty internet somewhere, you may get delays, where it's trying to connect, and you might get timeouts occasionally. So you can intentionally select to say, "Hey, I want to search offline." And so when you do that, now as I scan items, it's going to search my online database, and you'll notice, like as I'm scanning here, I'm just scanning and it's just bringing up the item directly. So when I scan an item identifier, it knows it's an item identifier and goes right to the item. It doesn't have to, show you a list or something like that. Um, but you can also search, by your keywords. Um, like I use short and shirt a lot, like so I can go to cargo shorts, navigate and see this. But now you can see because I'm offline, I don't have access to the quantities. Um, because I'm offline. If I had any quantity that I do have at the local store would show up here that was downloaded with your inventory. But again, it's only as recent as your most recent download. All right. So that's inventory searching, price checking. I didn't call out the prices, but you can see the prices are shown here. If I select an item, you can see the price there as well. All right. All right. Okay, so we talked about price and store quantities, online and offline. Um, Let me talk a little bit. There's more features to tell you about, but I do want to cover a couple of other topics first, um, and then we can come back and look at some more stuff and answer questions. So let me go to the next thing. So we've talked about the item count workflow that was previous. Um, just a summary of the steps there. We went through this. Create the new session, scan the items, tap the upload button. And then in Prism, you can upload into docs and PIs using the import counts menu button. I didn't show you that with, I haven't shown you how to import into a document. So let me do that real quick. So let's go to point of, you'll probably most often do it in like do a receiving document. There we go. So we can go to a new voucher. This again is in Prism, and I can go to import counts, and then I can pick account and then bring that in. You can see here I had an error because the voucher didn't match with the vendor on the item. So that's possible. Or I have to select disable that feature in Retail Pro. Let's see. So here are the items that matched my voucher. And so this would be just like I just went ahead and entered it into the document directly. You can also go to point of sale. I'm not gonna complete that document, but you could enter you can import items into an inventory document, or I'm sorry, to an invoice as well. So similar thing. And we had this error on this document, remember? So it's not gonna take that one. We should still see the other items. So these are the items that were successfully loaded. All right. So you can basically import sessions into any of the documents in Retail Pro, transfers, slips, transfers, things like that. So let me go to Retail Pro into V9. Let's do that kind of a similar action here and just show you what that looks like. So let's go to merchandise. Oh, purchasing. There we go, vouchers. So we just got a voucher in Retail Pro. I'll create a new one. Um, there is a button. There it is, upload items. So when I click this, we'll get our pop-up again. And here, okay, so this is a feature that if you have lot or serial numbers, then Retail Pro will require you to have provided those. So if an item has a lot number or something needed, it should you'll need to provide that. I don't know if I have any activated on here. So if I just enter one, mm, it'll bring those items in, and so it'll include lot numbers and things like that. So lot numbers and serial numbers are supported as well. Um, and depending on, I may not have had that feature enabled on the device, but normally there's a prompt that'll say, "Hey, you need to enter a lot number or serial number to bring this in," and then that's included with the scan. Um, so as you can see, though, you can bring in items into the voucher, and again, now you can do all the features you're used to doing. You're just doing standard Retail Pro functionality at this point. Any questions about that? Or importing into Prism documents or version 9 documents. It's a very similar process. Um, in Prism, use the import count. Oops, use the import counts button for both documents and PI in V9. Use the upload items button for documents, and for PIs, you go to add counts portable device. That's it. We took a look at the price quantity checking. Again, pretty straightforward. You tap on the search button. You can scan and enter an item or description. Then you can tap on the quantity field to see quantities at other stores. Again, you have to be online to see that feature, but that can be pretty useful if you're trying to see like what other stores might have something. All right. Um, we also mentioned this, keeping devices up to date. So the Retail Mobile Inventory app, the manager, um, we can do a couple of things. I'm not going to go through all the options that are available in here, but the most important one is import data. This is the manual method for bringing data from Retail Pro into Retail Mobile inventory and the services and things like that. It's pretty quick. You just tap it and it just connects, and that's it. If you have, several 100,000 items, it might take you a few minutes. But if you're around, 10 to 50,000 items, it'll be less than a minute. This will bring down your inventory and make it available to your mobile devices. Your mobile devices will then automatically synchronize and pull that down. Um, and so you can do that manually, or you can automate it. You can schedule it using a Windows schedule task. There's a configuration within the tool to set that up for you. I highly recommend that. It's a lot more you know safe to do than manual. If you forget to do it, then you get a lot of missing items because you get new inventory all the time, and if you haven't imported your data, those items won't be available for lookup on the mobile devices unless they've been synchronized. All right, any questions about that? I'll just talk briefly about a couple of Prism and V9 deployments. Like, what does it look like to install the software? The app, the mobile app, obviously goes on mobile devices, so you'll have users using those out in your store. On your Prism server, typically you'll install the Retail Mobile service and Retail Mobile Manager on the server, and this allows Mobile Manager to interact with the mobile service and import data. There's other troubleshooting features and custom configuration features that it supports. But mostly once it's set up, you pretty much just you kind of ignore Retail Mobile Manager. You don't really have to do much on Prism with that. And then your Prism clients, of course, just talk to the Prism web server itself, which has my plugin. And so the plugin is what allows Prism to then talk to my mobile service to fetch all the sessions and things like that. Right. With V9, and this is true for V8 as well. It's just a little bit different. You'll have your V8 or V9 server. You'll install Retail Mobile Manager there as well as mobile service. Again, the users interact with mobile service. But here on your clients, a little bit different. You're also going to have Retail Mobile Manager running on the clients, and that's kind of like the equivalent plugin for V8 and V9 is when V9 needs to get data from Retail Mobile Services, it actually starts the mobile manager, that session pop-up that we saw earlier, and that goes out to the mobile service and connects there to get the data. So it's a pretty straightforward installation and a configuration that the Big Hairy Dog would help you do. Um, any questions about the deployment, or if you've got anything like you're running something in the cloud, or you've got more complicated configurations, Big Hairy Dog can certainly help you, uh, work out a way to get it installed. Let's see, let's talk a little bit about software, hardware, and network requirements. So what do you need? You need V8, V9, and Prism, of course. Mobile devices. It does run on iOS devices and Android devices. I'm backing off iOS because of Apple has discontinued their iTouch. The iTouches were a very cost-effective mobile solution. They're very powerful devices, actually. But since they've discontinued them, they're not as cost friendly to have actual cell phones and contracts and things. So uh, I've been focusing development and direction on Android devices with built-in scanners. They're more robust, take bigger drops, uh, and are more reliable typically than an iPhone or an iTouch were. But you can still run an iOS. It's still available, but you'll have to find a scanning solution for those. And the scanner solutions for uh, iOS or Android devices that don't have a built-in scanner are typically to get a third-party Bluetooth scanner. And these work. I've got a few laying around. Um, they plug in by Bluetooth, as I mentioned, and they're just simple scanners. They work through like a keyboard wedge function, so they kind of simulate being on a keyboard and manually entering whatever scanned data into the fields. They're not quite as performant as an integrated scanner, and so I don't. If you can afford and you're not trying to um, use an existing device that doesn't already have a scanner, I definitely recommend using a device like a Zebra 21 or 22 that has a dedicated integrated scanner. It's just easier than having lots of parts and having to charge two devices or get devices connected or things like that. So. Um, but you can use pretty much any Android device with the app. Most modern devices are compatible. Um, and I try to maintain backward compatibility for as long as I can. Eventually, if you're buying a really old device, I can't guarantee I support it, but anything, anywhere near current is going to be right, is going to be fine. You can download the app through the Apple and Google app stores. You can find my apps on either store by just Googling or searching for Foundry Logic Retail Mobile, and you can log into the demo server. So you could download it right now onto your phone and just try it, without a scanner and just use the search features and the demo data that I have there. Um, Let's see, the workstation where you install things just has to meet Retail Pro's requirements. So if you can install Retail Pro, then you can install this alongside of it. It doesn't have a very large footprint. Um, most users never notice it's there. Um, Last thing about the network, the retail mobile service does have to be accessible to your mobile devices on your network. So if you don't have a Wi-Fi, that's problematic. Although I do support USB synchronization. So you can connect the device by USB, and that does work. I have users doing that for one reason or another can't run Wi-Fi. So that's also an option. But definitely the Wi-Fi is much more convenient. So hopefully that's something that isn't going to be an issue for you. Um, the retail mobile service uses a default port of 6131, but you can change that if you need to. And it needs to be able to connect to my licensing server at licensefoundrylogic.com. And that's just so it can maintain, it's just very similar licensing models what Retail Pro has. We keep track of who's got how many licenses by a merchant ID, and you can buy licenses through a subscription. They're both annual and lifetime licenses that Big Hairy Dog offers. Uh, Licenses are pooled by merchant ID, so you could buy one or 10 or however many you want, and then you can use them across as many devices as you have, up to that limit of how many you've got. So if you buy 10, then you can use up to 10 devices at any given time. If you need to transfer a license to another device, you can do so by deallocating a license from a device, and then you can reallocate it at the new device. Um, if and you might need to do this because you upgrade a device or a device is lost or stolen. That's not a problem. You can do this at no cost. Just bring your new device, connect it, and you can reallocate the license to it. You
I'll
do
be
need to
able
have
to in it.
you do need to have the license the device in hand to deallocate it, and that's just so you don't have a device at one store and another device at a second store and have two people like playing tug of war over a license. So uh, one of you will get to use that license at a time, and you can coordinate it. If you don't have a device available to deallocate, like it was lost, stolen, or damaged, then you can contact support, and we can reset them remotely, and then you'll be able to relicense all your devices again. It's transparent. It doesn't it's not bad. It's not like you have to do anything. You just to license a device, you just have to start using it, and it will automatically pick up a license if one is available. It's kind of like musical chairs.
Yeah, and we
Uh,
have lots of clients that use them like individual stores will have them to do their receiving, but then when they're doing physical inventory, they'll pull all the devices per location to do all their physical inventories, and then when they're done, they all go back to their respective locations to do their use them for document importing and exporting or importing.
That's right. So you can use your devices anywhere where you're using the same merchant ID, and you don't have to allocate or deallocate. You can just physically move them to another server where you'll connect them and use them there. So how do you do that? So in the connection settings, there's a host and a port. So here you would just enter the host ID for the store that you're at, and once you've done that, then you're ready to go. All right. Any questions about licensing or support? Anything else we've talked about up to this point? I know we're at time. I think we are just about where I hoped we'd be, except I wanted to be able to give you more time for questions. But I just want to put up this last screen here. There's definitely more features here to talk about than we were able to have time to get through. There's different entry modes, which just allow you to see the keyboard and manually enter things, or just sort of do scanning only entry. It it's not a huge feature, but it makes better use of the screen, and it can be quicker for some circumstances. You may have noticed some menu items for printing. There is a label printing feature that can print to Zebra printers. Um, and if you're interested in something like that, follow up with Big Hairy Dog. Uh, we can't print Retail Pro designs, however, because they're in a proprietary format. So if you're interested in label printing, we can create custom labels that match or get very close to the labels you've already got, and you'll be able to print from a mobile device. I mentioned USB syncing is an alternative to Wi-Fi syncing, so you can basically just plug your device into a workstation that's running Retail Mobile Manager by USB and sync that way if for some reason your Wi-Fi is not available. I also mentioned lot and serial number briefly. That is supported, so you can scan lots and serial numbers at the time you're scanning. So if that's something you're interested in doing, you can set that up and use that feature. There is a report and sharing feature that's also on the device, and this one works like this. If I'm on a session, you can make a report, and you can basically like send an email to somebody. So if you're out somewhere and you're scanning something and something's not right, it's not working, you can send it to an email address, set a subject, type in a little message, and then it'll send an email with the an attachment of the items that you've scanned. So you could say, hey, take a look at this. There's something wrong with item number 4 or something like that. Um, it's kind of a nifty feature. You can also share, which just uses your device's sharing mode. So you can share by Drive, Gmail, even Android Beam. What that does basically is it sort of exports your scans to a CSV file to the selected share component. Um, we talked about session export and restore, and I also mentioned field customization. So that allows us to change the order or naming or things like that of the fields that you see on the various screens. So if that's something you're interested in, we can do some customization there as well. So wow, I just went through a lot there. I'm sure you have more questions about that. I'm available to take a few more questions if you are, and but otherwise, you can send any questions to Paula or Felicia at Big Hairy Dog, and of course, I misspelled Paula's email address. Sorry for that, Paula. Um, uh, Feel free to send those questions, and we'll get those answered for you. But I'm certainly available now to take a few more questions as people are available.
Thanks, Tammy. Tammy said excellent presentation. And then also, we do have a promo right now on the scanners. We have refurbished scanners, and they come directly from Zebra, so they're not like we purchased them somewhere else. They are directly from Zebra, and they come with a 1-year warranty, and they are less than half the price of the new TC22s. for the scanner. So we have a great promotion. I'll send everybody over some information on that as well. And then if you want some more information on any of the stuff that Didge talked about, let us know and we can set up some one-on-one time, or maybe we can help you directly. And then also there's some webinars that are specific to what version of Retail Pro you're on how to do the physical inventory so you can see, the full Retail Pro side of it. And then the Digis software side of it as well. Jeff does some good demos, and there'll be some webinars coming up on both of those because it is getting into PI season. So if you guys have any questions on anything like that, also let us know about that. And then I will send everybody that attended today a link to the video from today, and then also I'll go ahead and send over those physical inventory webinar links as well. That works with the software that Did showed you today.
Well, great. Hey, thanks again, Paula, and the Big Hairy
Yeah.
Dog team for setting this up. I really appreciate everybody's time today. Please, send your questions and hope to hear from you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Didge. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.